Welcome to another episode of Dr. G at the Heart of Healthcare. We are getting closer to the season finale, but today we are going to talk to Cal Cates, the CEO of Healwell, and my friend from ALC. Hi.
Hello. Good to see you.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to get to talk to you today.
Same.
We are just getting back from Denver, Colorado, everyone. We were at the NHPCO Annual Leadership Conference, the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization, the oldest organization advocating for hospice and palliative care in the United States. And we're back. And so we had a wonderful conference, and we had a good time. And I have to say, before we jump in, I have to give a shout out for our new name, right? Because we are the Alliance. It's kind of like the agency.
It definitely is. Yes.
So we're the National Alliance for Care at Home. Is that right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice
Said,
work.
if not, let us know, guys. Like
That's
the
right.
marketing team of us.
But
So
people in the know will call it the Alliance. So we're good. We're good.
We're good. So this is a marriage between NHPCO and NAHC. But now we came together. That's good to have unity in the United States.
Oh, man. Yes, it is. Preach.
So anyway, so we were in Denver. So we're going to talk about the conference. This is our recap episode. But before we talk about the conference, we're going to have to talk to Cal about their amazing company, Healwell, and all the things you're doing. I was trying to make sure I'm focused on not calling it a modality, because massage therapy is a discipline, and I know this, my body knows that. So
Yeah.
tell us about Healwell in a nutshell, and maybe a brief bio about you.
Yeah, well, the briefest bio I think I can offer is that I don't have a good origin story about how I found my way to massage therapy, except that in 20 years down the road here, I can see in retrospect that it was sort of part of the karmic plan, because massage therapy and just embodiment have been a very big part of my own personal journey, and discovering and welcoming and surrendering to who I am. And I've always had sort of an interest in the underdog. And all the way back from, on the website, on our Healwell website, I talk about how when I was like in 5th grade, I wrote a letter to the president about how there should be a National Working Horses Day, because, the men who ride the horses get all the press, right? But like, find me a battle, find me a parade, find me anything where there's not a horse actually doing the work, right? The president was not swayed by my argument, but that didn't stop me. So, I've worked in intimate partner violence. I've worked as a sexual assault response counselor. And so I didn't know when I entered massage therapy that it was such a community of underdogs, but I really fit well there. And then, of course, in case massage therapy itself wasn't underdog enough, I decided to really focus on bringing massage therapy into the setting of serious illness. So that's Healwell was born in 2009. I think the same way a lot of nonprofits are born, where a couple people who really see a problem go, how hard could it be? It's really hard. But it's fun if you find the right people. And I've been lucky to have found a lot of people who really want to be in the hard and be in the fun of that. So for the last almost 16 years, we have been really trying to redefine the value of massage therapists in the setting of serious illness, and really changing the conversation away from massage and what we call internally rubbing as a modality, where you bring in a person who's going to need your muscles or need the muscles of your patients, to a provider who works within the broad umbrella of this really expansive discipline we call massage therapy.
That's beautifully said, because most of us, a part of our self-care regimen is massage, and it's not just someone rubbing. You find that special person, I get attached. Massage therapy, massage envy, they know me. And so, it's so important, when the pandemic happened and we had to shut down, I was like, I'm still working. I'm a hospice physician. I need my person, because that's a part of me renewing my compassion and
Absolutely.
staying in the place that I need to be in. But anyway, let's talk about the conference. But I do want to mention what you said while we were preparing,
Mhm.
how you're helping massage therapists in their human vulnerability. Would you tell us about that? Because I think that's a thing we all have in, the alliance.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like people broadly, consumers, and we can define consumers any way we want in terms of massage therapy, but I think they sort of give massage therapists kind of more credit than we deserve in terms of like our compassion and ability to show up to sort of the human experience. And I think even massage therapists, we go into massage because we love people and we want to be with people and take care of people. But when it comes to being in a space where people are dying or people are living with really difficult conditions, and in sort of a system that we call healthcare, massage therapists are generally pretty ill-equipped. So we really try to, and part of why they're ill-equipped, it has very little to do. We joke at Healwell that massage therapists do the most damage with their mouths, not with their hands, because it's not about it's certainly sometimes about people massaging too aggressively, but it's mostly about massage therapists just not being trained in the skills of emotional self-regulation and advanced communication and being able to bring their humanity and really understand that their humanity and their ability to be with the unknowable is an incredible skill that palliative providers and hospice providers are expected to show up at the bedside with those skills. And we have to teach massage therapists just like any other discipline would need to learn those things before they go into those environments.
That's beautifully said. So tell us before we go, I guess we could talk about it when we get to that networking session, but go ahead and just share how this program you're starting, the certificate program is coming. Let us know about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been providing continuing ed and kind of postgraduate advanced continuing ed for massage therapists for a long time, teaching them in the hospital in clinical settings. But in February, we will launch the first ever 9-month palliative massage therapy certificate program. We'll have 12 folks in our inaugural cohort, and they'll be all over the country, really with an eye toward accessibility. So a majority of the program is synchronous and asynchronous online content. We have an interdisciplinary faculty. So we've got folks from social work, from ethics, we've got nurses, physicians, chaplains, doulas, all kind of bringing their own perspectives and pulling together through this really connected curriculum to introduce massage therapists to interdisciplinary care and what it means to be in the setting of serious illness and to accompany a person who is going through their end of life process. And then the last 6 months of this 9-month program, in addition to the work we'll be doing with them weekly in sort of classroom space, they'll be engaging in a 6-month externship where they'll do 8 hours a week with a palliative or hospice program that's local to them. So we'll have our therapists who in this cohort are literally all over the country working with palliative and hospice programs right where they live and learning how to become a member of an interdisciplinary team and also teaching that team what it means to have a palliative trained massage therapist participating in their care.
I love that. So we got to get them to California.
Definitely. We have 2 in California, so we'll have to talk about that.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Well, I know you shared, that you went to massage therapy school and that you were massaging your grandfather when he left this earth. Tell us about that because that'll segue into the work that we do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was in my mid to late 20s, and my grandfather was in what I now know is a skilled nursing facility, and my family was really sort of cagey about exactly how sick he was. And maybe they didn't know. I mean, now knowing what I know about communication and things, maybe they really didn't understand. I was massaging his hand and I watched him take his last breath. And I didn't grow up in a family that sort of normalized death or illness or just sort of any of the things that go with mortality and frailty. And it still felt incredibly like it wasn't alarming. Certainly, I was sad, and I'm sure some level of disbelief played into it. But I just felt like almost like my feet were anchored to the floor, and I was like, I can't imagine being anywhere else. And it wasn't sort of like this lightning moment where I was like, and this is what I'll do with massage. But if that it did sort of create a turning point where I started saying to myself, like, I don't this doesn't seem like a thing that happens for people. Like massage therapy isn't in these spaces, and massage therapists aren't in these spaces. So I started to sort of look around for what kind of training was available, and there was very little. So I went to some nursing classes and PT classes, and there were a few people doing what we call oncology massage. And so that was kind of my introduction to working with people who are living with serious illness, and, sort of the rest is history. And I was like, oh, we have to like revamp this whole thing. All right, here we go. And so that's what we've been trying to do at Healwell for the last, handful of years.
So you're going to make every massage therapist in the world amazing. I love it.
I mean, honestly, that is, people say, oh, I don't want to work with sick people. I'm like, well, then you shouldn't touch humans, because we're all dealing with some things. And,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
setting you can work in as a massage therapist where you could say, oh, I only work with healthy people. I'm like, how are you screening for that?
Yeah. And maybe if everyone had this mindset, I wouldn't have to get attached to one, because everyone's amazing, right?
I mean, exactly.
Because I only go
I'd
to
love
the
for you to
woke
have
ones.
that. Yeah, right. Totally. Yes.
All right. And then you mentioned something. I know you're so interesting. I feel like we could just talk about you the whole time. The Buddhist course that you did that kind of did something. Could you share about that?
Yeah, I feel very lucky, because I feel like one of the things we're often doing at Healwell is unteaching people, because we really, whether it's medicine, nursing, massage therapy, we really it's our education is grounded in sort of this fix it mentality, that like illness, infirmity, death are all signs that something is wrong, and that I'm here to fix it. I'm here to deny it. I'm here to minimize it. And I was not in massage therapy very long before I found myself in a workshop with a guy named Frank Ostazeski, who is a Buddhist teacher and working in sort of healthcare settings. And he said, "Oh, we're offering this 9-month semi-residential program called the End of Life Care Practitioner Program." And at the time, the sort of type A part of me that was still quite alive was like, "Ooh, that sounds hard. I want to do that." And it was really, he sold it as, this is for doctors and nurses and social workers. And I was like, well, I'm none of those things, but this sounds cool. And I thought I would learn a lot of stuff. And I applied to the program, and they accepted me. And what I learned was that I was full of shame and sadness and parts of me that I was trying not to see. And that when I surrendered to that truth, and when I really saw myself as fully as is ever really possible, so much more opened up to me in terms of how I could relate to people who were approaching the end of their lives. And that, I realized that part of what was so uncomfortable for me at the bedside, because I was terrified of death. I volunteered in hospice as my senior project in massage school because I didn't want to be around dying people. And the immersion therapy of that didn't really fix it. And I realized in this program that part of what was so hard about that was that people, I was working with people who, because they were dying, were finally taking the time to meet themselves. And that was maybe the first time that they had done that. And that it was so painful to be in that space with them and know that time was limited, and even the ability to go and do and connect with people that, including themselves, that they hadn't made that time for. And that program really woke me up to, oh, like, we can always know ourselves better. And it's not a failure to keep being surprised about who I am. And actually, that can be really fun. And so that really, Healwell sort of grew out of that experience. The idea that all providers of healthcare, the better we know ourselves, the more sustainable this work becomes, the more meaningful our interactions become, the more we can show up to the fact of suffering in the human experience. And that's really what we get to do. We do it through the lens of massage therapy, but we have all kinds of people come through our courses who are like, yeah, boy, I forgot to be a human when I went to work today. And that made it a lot harder.
That's beautiful. I thank you for your work, and that's why you're my friend.
And exactly. That's why we were
And
attracted to each other.
yes, and so safe and peaceful. Like, help me renew that peace.
Yeah.
And thank you for being patient with me with my pronouns. See,
Listen,
that's a whole nother episode we're gonna do. Everyone, listen up, because we are programmed to say things, and I've messed up a bunch. I will admit that. So thank you for your patience.
absolutely. We got to give each other grace, or there's no reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah, amen. Well, thank you for that. So let's jump in to the last ALC. I mean, they said save the date for July, so I guess we're having a conference, but it's called something else, not
Yes.
ALC.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully. All right. So Sunday we got there. I didn't do any pre-conferences, did you?
Nope, just some committee meetings and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. What committees are you on?
I serve on the Integrative and Rehabilitative Therapies Steering Committee, which just rolls right off the tongue, and then the Diversity Advisory Council.
Amen. You
Mhm.
guys do great work with DAC.
I love the DAC. Those people are my family.
All right. So we started off, I got there around noontime, and then that airport
Oh
is,
man, it's a city.
that's all I'll say.
Yes.
And then we got in our ride, and I feel like we had a class before we actually had the kickoff, which threw me off. I guess they
Oh yeah.
squeezed that in. So it was with Lauren Templeton,
Mhm.
Dr. Lauren Templeton, and our other amazing expert, Judy Lund Person, and they talked
Oh.
about GIP. Is
Mhm.
needed? That's general inpatient care, the highest level of hospice. We're not talking about that today. Go read my book, The Real Deal About Hospice. We talk about that a little bit, but there's 4 levels of hospice care. So we talked about that and evaluating and addressing auditor concerns. So what's kind of a scary one, because no one wants to get in trouble with their hospice agencies. Did you have a class before the kickoff?
No, it's really interesting. I had not really met many of the members of the Diversity Advisory Council, and I had planned to go to things, and I wound up having sort of like a private education session with some of those folks, and missed those first sessions.
Hey, those are
Yeah,
the best times, though. Those
it's
are the best
true.
times when we
Yeah,
can come
that's
together.
the price of admission.
Yeah, and then we had the kickoff with the neurosurgeon,
Mhm.
Dr. Joseph Stern, and he gave us books. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Stern, about, man, I want to be holding the book. I don't know where my bag is.
Oh man.
Oh, actually, it's over there on my bookshelf. It says Grief Connects Us. He's the author of that book. It was really good. And that human vulnerability you were talking about, he shared, his story. So that was night 1, kickoff. Then we had a full day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, half day. So
Yep.
Monday, early breakfast for me. And then the opening keynote with Daniel Kraft. Let's see. Then what courses stood out to you on that day?
Well, it's interesting because I don't actually go to a lot of massage therapy conferences because they're not talking about the things that sort of matter to us at Healwell and what we need to do to really integrate. So I'm always sort of code switching is maybe too strong a phrase, but I'm always like, how does this apply to us? How do I take this back to our team and say this is what I learned? And so I went to a session called Drinking from the Fire Hose, improving staff orientation, and it was really useful and fascinating because it really was about sort of acknowledging that we tend when we bring people on board to just fill their brains with information and then we're like, good luck. And, this was about really titering out information and waiting for context so that there can be more competency being developed as people, you can't onboard a person in a week. That there are certain things they have to know before they can safely go out and work with patients. But a lot of it doesn't even mean anything until they've seen some patients and you can kind of say, oh, this is how we do this. So that was really interesting. And I mean, we fall into the same trap when we bring on new massage therapists. So our team was really excited about the things I brought back from there. Um, I think in that first day, that was really the top one that got me.
Yeah, I went to the session. They have this place for people who are unhoused where they can, die with dignity and respect. And right there in Denver, it's called Rocky Mountain Refuge. And I actually had that session, and then another day I was able to have a meal with one of the people who works there, and so it was really just wonderful to learn about the work that's being done around the country. And they have a few, I guess, kind of related areas around. And so a lot of folks were in there just trying to figure out how they could, add that, population to serve and, in their agencies. And so it was good. Then we had, let's see, welcome reception. That was fun. They have really good stuff for us, I thought.
They definitely did. They do a good job with receptions and food. I feel like this is, I try to be, I'm vegan at home mostly, but when you travel, like you can barely be vegetarian and still like get good food. But they do a really great job of offering actual food you would want to eat, even if you don't eat meat.
Good, good, good,
Yeah.
good. All right. And then we went to Tuesday, and oh, that was when we had the keynote with Mary Lou Henner. She was
Hmm.
she
She was
was
a
a
pip.
hoot.
Yes,
She was a hoot.
she was a hoot indeed.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. It's like
Mm-mm.
she was talking and then she started saying all the things that happened to her. I wasn't ready.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, well, I got to take a picture with her, so I guess that makes me a fan. And so it was just wonderful to hear about how she's used that to, the storytelling and the memory and all that stuff. It's helping a lot of folks.
Definitely.
So that was good there. I forgot to mention at the kickoff, met the new president of the alliance.
Oh, all right. I did not get to meet the new president.
Yeah, so looking forward to all the things we're going to do in the alliance. Let's see. How about you for Tuesday?
I think my favorite one on Tuesday was I went to one with Dr. Cynthia Pan and a colleague of hers about cross-cultural competency with Asian American patients, and it was just really interactive. And I left with direct and specific things that I could not only do at the bedside, but that were really easy to share with our team. So I feel like she does such a great job of making that idea of like cultural humility truly accessible, and like what does it mean, and how does it work. So that was a fun session.
Good.
Yep.
I had one, let's see, do everything palliative care solutions in the emergency department.
Mm,
I love those because, again, my work as mobile concierge with Mourning Medical is, sometimes helping people when they're pre-crisis,
yeah.
and just helping them define goals of care. And most of the time, people are like, do everything because they don't want to feel like someone else is deciding to take something from them. That's where
Yeah.
that comes from. If people would really kind of sit with it. That's all they're thinking. I had a patient visit earlier today, actually, and the family said something to the effect of, no, we don't want you to be DNR. We love you. And so I had a good talk. I didn't drop my head
No,
like
good
that, like
job.
with
Good
it,
job.
because luckily it was a good vibe and we were just talking. I was like, oh, we need to talk about that. That doesn't mean that you do that. It was just kind of like
Yeah.
easy, where I told them it doesn't mean that, if this person can make their own medical decisions, we kind of want to respect that. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. This is just in the event if the heart stops, this person doesn't want to do that. So guys, think about it, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what they are saying. And
Absolutely.
and we don't have any reason to think this heart's going to stop, but this
Hearts
person is
stop.
thinking they don't want to go through that. And so we really need to be considerate. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, I'm just coming to these people's houses being bossy, but I
That's
guess
right.
that's
You're giving them information they don't have is what's happening. I mean,
the alliance of home care.
that's right. That's right. We should get you a cape. I'm here from the alliance.
I'm here from the alliance. Okay, so that was Tuesday. Yeah, so anyway, do everything. So just educating people because people we need to meet people where they are. They need to meet us where they are, and we all need to be on the same page. Doctors, nurses,
Yeah.
all specialties.
Yep.
Not just when you put in the palliative consult. The
Right.
conversations need to be good before then. All right. Then the day went by. Oh wait, the gala.
Oh, the gala. Indeed.
Why did they sit us next to each other?
Oh, I think we know why. I think last year they saw that like this, we brought the fun because they sat us right next to each other, and then some of the other troublemakers that we had hooked up with the year before, where we just sort of lined the dance floor where they seated us. I mean, I don't think that was an accident.
Yeah, why would you put me right? Like my shoe was on the dance floor. So I
Yeah.
didn't have an excuse.
No, it's true. It's true.
So that was fantastic. Everyone
Yes.
was so beautiful. A lot of great
Yes.
awards given out. We raised a lot of money, able to
Hmm.
donate for. I didn't know we had that program where we can give people their dream come true.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
The National Hospice Foundation. So thank you for all that work
Yeah.
that the National Hospice Foundation does. I was happy to contribute to that. Um, and then we had some fun. And then we tried to do karaoke, but we didn't.
I mean, it's subjective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we had a great time. It was a
Yes.
wonderful event. And then on the final day, let's see, what did you enjoy on that Wednesday morning?
Well, I think I mean, the best part of that day was actually sort of the closing keynote for me, and just talking about the prison hospice project. And I've seen Prison Terminal, and I've talked with Lori Wasselcheck, who wrote that book, and I've read so much about all of those programs, and sort of just how my heart breaks for the existence of the carceral system, but really for that we need like programs like this to remind some people that people who are incarcerated are human, and that and I think he did such a great job of just I loved his story about, they were like, well, what about quilts? We'll make quilts to raise money for this program. And they just sort of like sat him in front of a sewing machine, and he was like, oh, but now he's good friends with the sewing machine, right? And like the beautiful quilts that he and his team made, and just really, I think he did such an incredible job of not tipping into what I feel like sometimes we call pain porn, right? Like that it really was about what was the experience for this particular person, and what was the cascade, and sort of what's the possibility when we really believe that people are good, and then if we give them an opportunity to be good, they will be.
Hold on, don't just be dropping stuff like that. Pain porn?
Yeah,
You
I
have a
mean,
lot of words and terms for things that we do. Is that what
yeah.
we're like, oh, when we
Yeah, well, and I think, you have, I mean, I think it's a relatively diverse group that attends the ALC, but hospice is still, I mean, it's a white-led, white-founded sort of practice of healthcare, and I think that you get a room full of, leaders, hospital and healthcare leaders who are in the higher echelon socioeconomically speaking, and who probably don't have much connection to the carceral system, or just to the path that this man and so many other people that he's spent his life with have we're sort of destined to be on, that I think it's really easy to tip into almost pity. And I feel like he made it hard. I'm sure some people did that, but not because of the way he presented it. And I really appreciated the way he just sort of really kept bringing it back. And, he even invited Ben Marcantonio up on stage, and,
yeah,
asked him if he'd ever repaired his own pants, and really kind
yeah,
of brought it down to like, people
yeah,
don't know how to do these things. And
yep.
this is, yeah. So,
A life skill,
hmm,
sewing.
yes.
I love how you said that because I think that's a good way to wrap this up too, because when we talk about serious illness or death, dying, uh, it can become about pain porn where people don't actually lean into it. They're just like, oh, it hurts so much. I'm not ready. I don't want to do it. So they don't talk about it. They avoid it. No estate planning, no anything. Just do everything.
Yep.
And again, we respect your wishes, whatever your goals of care are. But I think our society struggles with that. And if we, again, grief connects us, it's
Yeah.
going back to that book. We're going to experience loss. Humanity leads to, we're all going to die at some point.
Yep.
But some of us, we just work in this space and we want to be a part of making it better for those who are here. And so thank you for bringing up that word because I'm like stealing so many vocabulary words from you today.
Steal away, steal away. If we can use words better, I think it only serves all of us.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you have the final word because you've been dropping gems and I'm just still trying to catch up.
Ah! I am so glad that we met, and that, I mean, really, like as we discussed before, we just sort of saw each other across the room, and we're like sort of like beams of light, like, oh, I don't know what you do, but we should do it together. So I am so grateful for that, and the ability to have this conversation, and I look forward to future conversations, and just knowing that you're out there, and that folks who are listening, watching, are feeling the same things.
Oh, well, thank you for being here, Cal. Thank you for everything you do, leading Healwell, making us heal well, and making us all better. And we're grateful for the National Alliance for Care at Home and
Nice.
everything. I did it.
Well done. Well done.
Everything that we do, that shows we have to respect the new identity, right?
That's right.
And the
Absolutely.
labels.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you, National Hospice Foundation. Thank you to all of our colleagues. Carrie, who's in charge of it, like she got a little apron from from the keynote speaker, and it made her all emotional. It was just so
Oh,
nice.
that's
It
awesome.
was just so wonderful. And just thank you, everyone, for what you do. And we look forward to the new journey, the Alliance, and where we're going to continue to advocate for quality end of life care and loving each other. So thank you
Loving
for
each
being
other.
here.
Hmm.
All right. Peace, everyone.